I'm Professor of Cognitive Neuroscience and Psychology at Swinburne University. I'm also the Director of the Swinburne Centre for Human Psychopharmacology. And this is a purpose-built centre at Swinburne University that has its own MRI, and MEG, EEG, a variety of imaging modalities and very good clinical testing facilities for clinical drug trials. So it's a very purpose-built research centre that allows us to study the psychopharmacological basis of how we might improve cognitive function. So my area of interest and research focus has been in the area of cognition and understanding human cognition, human intelligence, particularly from a pharmacological basis. So the idea that cognition might change over the lifespan, and that has a biological basis. And what's the pharmacological basis? So how might we improve cognitive function at any age group using a variety of different pharmacological substances, whether they be pharmaceuticals or whether they be plant-based products or nutritional products. That's really the sorts of things that we've been interested in. In today's session we talked about quite a few different things. First of all, we started talking about exactly what is cognition, and so cognition is very complicated. Often the patients that they will see will be older people, and there's an increase in the number of older people in Western society, so it's a very important issue, but it's a very difficult thing to assess and understand, and they'll be seeing people who have issues of memory decline. They might have some language problems, they may have a range of other cognitive issues. And so how do you assess those, how do you measure it, who do you refer those patients to, and what are the sorts of things that they can suggest that those patients do to help ameliorate cognitive decline or improve their cognitive functioning. And so we talked about a range of activities. Some of these things could be diet, some of these things could be exercise, cognitive training, being cognitive alert and active. But we talked about a range of nutritional pharmacological products which have extensive research on them, which we compared them to the cholinesterase inhibitors, which are the current pharmaceutical in the area of dementia. We talked about what is dementia, we talked about what is cognitive aging, we talked about what are some key targets and some potential products for dementia. We talked about something called EGB761, which is a very specific extract of ginkgo biloba, which is one of the oldest known trees, plant-based medicines. That EGB761 is a very famous extract of ginkgo biloba. It's been subjected to around 400 studies. The evidence for EGB761 for treating cognition in patients with dementia is very good. It's equivalent to the cholinesterase inhibitors. And we talked about a range of other potential natural medicines and activities as well. So some of the emerging trends in treating, improving cognition in the elderly and improving cognition in patients with dementia are really exciting. I mean, at the moment there is no really effective treatments for dementia. A lot of the pharmaceutical companies are getting out of research because it's very expensive. A lot of the recent pharmaceutical interventions have failed research-wise, so we must look at other types of interventions to improve cognition, to perhaps stop the increase in the number of people who are getting dementia, or even to treat dementia. So things that we talked about probably are things like exercise, cognitive training, diet's very important. We talked about a range of exciting new nutritional products that we'll be looking at that might have a lot of evidence to support. So EGB761 is obviously one, continue to work with. The copa extracts such as CDRI08 or quinine are showing a lot of promise for ameliorating cognitive decline in the elderly. Cognitive training such as posit science could be very exciting, and exercise, diet, Mediterranean diet perhaps, all these things in the future may be combined. I don't think there's a silver bullet for dementia or silver bullet for people getting older and memory loss. We're going to have to do all of these things, and we're going to have to do them at a younger age. So instead of treating somebody when they're 60, 70, 80, we really have to start doing these things when people are 40, 50. There is so much research going on at the moment that these sorts of forums have so much to add in terms of how much you can learn about current developments and future developments, and you get a chance to talk to people. For me, it's really exciting. I get to talk to GPs, and I can hear the sorts of questions that they're asking. It helps me formulate the research questions and the research studies that I do, and I can also help them. Give them a sort of synopsis of what I've been reading in the literature, because there are hundreds and hundreds of studies coming out all the time on the brain, on different conditions, on dementia, and at the moment we don't have any silver bullets, so we've got to try and look at all these sorts of different interventions.